everyone. We are Team Pixel Pie, and I'm Lala Fuchs, the project manager and artist of the team.
I'm Maxwell Hanman, I was the programmer.
I'm Michael Cooper, I was the environmental designer.
I'm Leanne Rode, I was the scripter and effects artist.
And I'm Richard Harrison, I was the level designer.
And we are very, very happy to be here and be able to present to you guys our game Pulse. So let's jump right into it.
So Pulse is a first-person suspense survival game in which you play as a young blind girl named Eva. Now you may be wondering, alright, so if I'm blind, why am I seeing stuff on the screen, right? Well, anytime Eva hears a sound, she uses a process similar to echolocation in order to create a mental reconstruction of the world around her, and then that is what we visualize for the player on the screen.
Eva's tribe expects their young people to go on a pilgrimage when they reach a certain age. But when Eva lost her sight, she wasn't allowed to go, and her brother Tahu was sent in her place. The goal of Pulse is to find him because he has not yet returned.
Hey, there's Tahu now.
So Eva's not alone on her journey. The forest is filled with all kinds of other creatures, like these birds here. The flapping and chirping sound that they make allow Eva to use her echolocation process and understand what the environment looks like around them. Most important of the creatures in the forest, though, is the Moko. A cute, fuzzy, stupid little creature that just wants to help Eva along her journey. And the first thing, of course, you want to do with these guys is just huck them against a wall. So the impact sound there allows Eva to understand if it's a tree, a rock, the ground, whatever it happens to be. But the Mokos are good for other things too. They can be used to activate contraptions like this wheel here, and open doors and gates to allow Eva to progress further through her journey. They can also be tossed ahead to foresee potential dangers. Pretty sure he can swim. So luckily though, the environment is filled with other tools that the Mokos can interact with, like this over here. Things like gongs that make a large amount of sound so that the player can see dangers from much further away. So just ahead, we're going to show you that the environment is not the only challenge Eva has to overcome in her journey. Not all the creatures in the forest are quite so friendly. So here's Mike to tell us a little bit more about navigation in the game.
Oh my god. Since navigation is such a challenge, we decided... Oh my god. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Since we take away so much from the player, it's important to give them proper feedback. We do this in a few different ways, such as constantly keeping the Mokos revealed and having larger environmental reveals around the level, such as the birds and gusts of wind. And to keep the player from getting turned around, we have the footsteps, which trail behind the player, as well as checkpoints, which, once revealed, will stay lit for the entire level. Now, we wanted to keep the focus of our game on navigation, so we decided to keep the puzzles relatively simple. Up ahead here, we have the Fat Moko. He's a little bit stubborn and too fat to pick up, so you're going to have to push him to get him where you need him to be. He basically acts as a block puzzle.
He's not too happy about that. So the Fat Moko is really introduced to provide a concrete puzzle environment for the player. In contrast to that, we have the boss, which you previously saw before. He was really designed to keep the player on their toes and provide an ever-present threat for them. Now, this worked really, really well into level design as well, such that we now have two distinct areas. We have the safe areas, and we also have the boss-inhabited areas. It played well towards the difficulty progression of the game, such that the simplest sections, the easiest areas, have the player completing simple puzzles at their own pace with no present threat. More difficult than that, we have the player navigating through areas with the boss, and the most difficult challenges in the game have the player solving puzzles while the boss is right there with them.
Our boss is also blind and navigates in much the same way that Eva does. So the player has to balance making enough sound to see the world around them with making so much sound that they alert the boss. We wanted to make it as clear as possible to the player what was happening in the world around them. So we did things like make sure that whatever the player is seeing on the screen, Eva is also hearing, using the Mocos as a feedback element for what the boss is doing, and painting the world with her emotions. So right now she's really scared because the boss is right there. And in a moment, she will calm down and the world will too, becoming this nice, peaceful green color.
Now, before we did external play testing of the game, we did a whole lot of research on our own. We looked into stories and articles about the blind experience. We even spoke with a member of the local blind community, and we walked around a bit with blindfolds on. It really helps. Now, we did all of this in order to get a better understanding of the challenges inherent when you take so much vision away from the player, and then we used the information that we got from those challenges in order to better design with them in mind.
Now, all of this was possible because we designed our own custom shader. Well, our programmer did, and in just a few weeks of pre-pro. Now, what the shader allows us to do is to have the whole environment in transparency until the source of sound comes within it and reveals it. Now, because everything became so reliant on the shader, we had to make sure that art and programming worked closely together since all visuals, assets, and effects had to go through the shader first. Eventually, after overcoming the challenges, we could bring moments like rain and also focus on a more stylized geometric world. I wonder what's beyond this cave. And that is our second boss, which you may or may not see when you head upstairs to play our game. This is Pulse. Thank you very much.